On today's episode of the Devon Messinger Show, we're going to break down a little bit of the tragic Ohio State game and also, of course, look ahead to this next weekend against San Jose State. Longhorns fans, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. It's greatly appreciated. And check us out at HornSports.com for all the latest in Horns news. Now, some basic game info for you guys for this weekend. The game is Saturday, the 6th of September at 11 a.m. Central Time at Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium in Austin, Texas. The details have not changed. JC, I keep on looking for a stadium name change. I know we're putting sponsorships on the field. I'm not seeing that on the stadium just yet. Time will tell. No, I'm kidding. Just a minor troll. We do love DKR. Televised on ABC. Texas is favored by 37 points. Now looking ahead to that scouting report, my good co-host Jacob Campos, the expert here, he wanted to talk a little bit Ohio State ball first to really set the tone and finish the last chapter of that book that the Longhorns are writing this year and going into next year. So JC, what do you think about last week's performance?
Well, I think first off, Devin, we got to fix that name, man. Soon we'll figure out a better. We can't. It's gonna be hard to beat Gerard Messenger, but I think we'll fix it. But you told everybody last week that very early on, I would always like to start with the bad, and I think we got to continue with that. So let's go ahead and let's jump right into Ohio State. And the only question is, Devin, what bad do you want to start with? Do you want to start with opening drive scripts? Do you want to start with red zones? Or do you want to start with the performance of Arch Manning? I'll let you pick one today.
I'll let you go with Arch because that's been the big storyline this week.
Yeah, and we can for sure jump into it. And I'm not going to beat a dead horse here. I'm not going to pull out a cowboy hat and a cigar, much like my good friend Jordan Rogers decided to do today on television. Did Arch Manning play bad in this game? Yes. Was Arch Manning the reason the team lost the football game? Probably so. You can imagine. Are you worried? I would argue not. 17 of 30, one touchdown, one interception. You're still a 4th and 5 away from potentially tying this game up. You're a completed 3rd and 5 to Ryan Wingo from that being a first down for probably a 25-yard game. It would a completely different ball game. Issue with Arch is it just took too long to get going. And at the end of the day, you can get mad at the guy, you can fault the guy. It's your first career road start. You're playing against Matt Patricia, who has 3 Super Bowl rings, and you're playing in one of the most hostile territories in college football. And had a couple eyes on the ground, had a couple soldiers out there doing some scouting for HornSports, had to do, and they said it was it was probably about as loud as they expected. Back when it was even A&M, it was probably on that same level, that same scale. So, am I disappointed in the Arch Manning performance? Yes. Did I lose money? Also, yes. But we live long and we live to see another day because, we waited so long for the media to build him up just to tear him down. But what happened? It happened. It's over with. Let's close the book and let's move on to San Jose State, just like Art said. Evan, what do you think?
Wow, that was very classy of you, JC. You tied that so well. Um,
Keep it tame, yeah.
like you said, I think everyone else has taken their shot at Arch this week. And the performance against Ohio State, if you're just going to look at it on a weekly snapshot, it was deserved. Let's be honest. You expect a lot from Arch. I know he expects more from himself. He just didn't do it this past week. The stats here, I got the stat book out. I got to shake it around to make sure people know.
There you
17 for
go.
30, 170 passing yards. Now most of those did come very late. Texas did cut it to a one score game late, but at the end of the day, it was too little, too late. One touchdown pass
Hmm.
to Parker Livingstone, one interception. But like you were saying, JC, it just seemed like he needed to be a little more timely in his throws. He needed to just make a decision, honestly. And then sometimes it just seemed
Yeah,
like he was putting a little too much mustard and heat on the ball. Throwing 95 at the catcher standing 10 feet away. I don't recommend.
absolutely.
But that honestly, the touch comes with the practice. He's not going to turn into Drew Brees just putting some feathers on every football and beautifully placing that. Now JC's a Saints fan, so he'll appreciate that reference.
I
But
I very much can appreciate that reference. That was a good one. Yeah, and it's like you said. Yeah, he made some very poor throws. I think that first throw of the game, if that's last year, he's making a throw 10 times out of 10. It happened. You were like, okay, He's a little bit nervous. We'll be okay. And for me, it was kind of the throws where I believe it was one shot to Wingo, and I won't say another shot to Baxter for screenplays. Ball either just went too high or got shot straight in the dirt. And it was just such quick release passes. They weren't timely, they weren't accurate. And it's the same with the RPOs. I mean, the Sark offense doesn't work if you can't hit it. And it just felt like in that first half, especially for me, it just felt like he was holding onto that ball, looking for his third read at times, or like just getting one more hitch. And it just, he'd never looked comfortable that entire game. And I think eventually just the pressure of the game and it being 0 at halftime probably definitely didn't help. They tried to force a throw that wasn't there, and that's just how it goes, unfortunately.
Yeah, and on your point, I mean, early on, the first throw, it looked like it was skipping a rock. I mean, it was 5 yards short, and I think that was nerves. I mean, everyone feels them, and I think Arch has been hyped up so much that he seems like a superhuman. He's up there with Superman, but we have to remember that, like JC said, this is his first road start, excuse me, and while we are already expecting very high things from him, he still has to take time to grow, and this was just another lesson in that. But JC, you're also talking about some easy passes, screens, and such. The Sark play calling, how did you feel about that? Do you think there's any level of this going to Sark, or was this just Arch being out of whack in terms of some of the throws we know he can hit?
I've been waiting for that question, and I've been thinking a lot about how to answer that. And I do obviously, and we'll definitely talk about it. I do want to critique Sark for once again questionable fourth down play calling. And let's talk about the biggest number of the day, 1 of 5 on fourth downs. I mean, that just simply can't happen. I mean, it can't happen at DKR, much less can it happen in the shoe. But I mean, yeah, you want to fault Sark, but it seems like he was doing the best he could to dial up some plays for Sark or for Arch to get him going early. That first throw, that's 25 yards right there. I mean, that's easy momentum, but it's just like he was just hanging on to that ball, man. And I think that he looked a little intimidated to make the throws that were there. But I'm also just wondering how much were these guys covered, and how much space did DeAndre Moore have? How much space did Ryan Wingo have? How much space did Entries have? Because it certainly didn't seem like they had a lot to throw. And there was definitely some questionable throws. I know I'm talking about the one that felt like it went right through Caleb Downs, just the little bullet that came off of Archer's hand. I'm not sure if it was Caleb or not, but it just felt like he was trying to force some throws. So I'm not going to critique him. That being Sark, I am going to actually hold Arch more accountable, and I would say that I think this is 80-20 if you want to place a blame game. I know the team certainly doesn't, but if you want to fault anybody, I think you just got to make the simple throws, man. That's just all it is. He's giving you it. You got to hit the screenplays.
Yeah, no, I think anyone that wants to blame Sark, I mean, red zone offense is one thing, and I'm sure JC could rant about that for 10 minutes if he wanted to, but I won't let it happen. Maybe a minute rant. But like JC said, players were open. I mean, you can see the tapes, some of the missed throws, just some reads that maybe can be a little better in future games. They were there. They had opportunities, but also this Ohio State defense, like you said, Matt Patricia, defensive coordinator, even though he's new to the scene in terms of being a coordinator at Ohio State, you can see that NFL just caliber game planning and prep that he did, because Arch definitely looked a little uncomfortable there, to say the least, even though he had, honestly plenty of time. I think the offensive line did better than I would have expected in that game. Besides the 2 false start penalties, I'm sorry, Brandon Baker, but Ryan Wingo also got on that too. Definitely not ideal. Some ill-timed penalties, but honestly, penalties weren't even the biggest worry. Like we were saying, just the Longhorns unable to really get momentum on offense killed them. And as we're saying, that's also in the passing game. Now, JC, before you cut in here, you mentioned DeAndre Moore. I talked about Wingo a second ago. Between the two guys, only 4 catches. Now, yet again, were they open, like you were saying, at times, and it was just missed? Potentially. I know on the Arch interception, that was to Wingo. It was just a late pass, and it got jumped. So that could have been an extra reception, potentially, if it was a little better timed. But overall, like you're saying, are they creating enough separation? I know Ryan Wingo for the Longhorns this year is supposed to be a wide receiver one. But JC, I mean Jeremiah Smith, you see when he's not catching the football, he's pouting, he's going all TO. But that's what you want to see from your wide receiver one. Not to a toxic level, but you want to see them trying to get involved in the game. And I want to see Wingo take on a little more of that. Now, yet again, I'm not saying like pouting on the field, but just that hunger for being involved in every other play. You see it a little bit, but it's on him also to create that separation that you're talking about. But the rest of the offense, Arch excluded. Any comments there?
I think that's a reasonable criticism. And I think that's something in terms of criticism that people aren't willing to talk about, specifically with Ryan Wingo and DeAndre Moore. This is Arch's had what, 3 off seasons to throw with him now with Moore, 2 with Wingo, 2 with Livingston. I mean, Livingston got his. He showed up. I know you saw him pull up to the stadium in that suit. He showed up in that suit. I said, yeah, we're winning by 50 today. He looked so sharp. He looked so clean. And he made, the biggest catch of the game. And Parker has that kind of energy. He has a little bit of swagger. You see it in just the interviews. This guy's slowly becoming a fan favorite on the roster. And it's become very apparent that, he's a couple of breakouts away from becoming a star for the Texas team. And I'm calling it now. Parker Livingston's going to be a star this season. But I think that's a fair criticism on Ryan Wingo, and that's very fair on DeAndre Moore. DeAndre Moore, I'm actually a little more disappointed than Wingo, if I'm being honest. I had seen enough of him in the last 2 years. Even last year, he had a little bit of a bigger role in the offense than Wingo had. I was ready for a big-time game. I was ready for a big-time play on a little slant, a little breakaway. But at the end of the day, it's like you said, you got to hold him accountable, and we have to hold the entire offense accountable, and that includes our center, who wasn't giving Arch the best balls as well. A couple of those snaps were a little iffy. Didn't love them. But why don't we just talk about the stars of the offense and the ones that are not getting the recognition they should, which is going to be Wisner and Baxter. That running game for Texas was fantastic, and on the same token, the run defense for Texas was even more impressive. And that's why, I'm not worried. I face no fears. I've got some great stats coming in hot for San Jose State. So with that being said, you got any more last kind of takeaways that you want to talk about the shoe, or are you ready to pivot towards
just like you said, we don't have to be all negative. So the running game for Texas,
absolutely,
definitely an up game for them in terms of, as we were mentioning in the preview, some of those big-time games you just haven't been able to rely on the run. Now, they didn't have super many major breakthrough runs, but they were consistently solid runs. They didn't go through the end zone, but got you enough yardage overall. Baxter had 40 yards, but Wisner had 80. You add those two together, you get 120 yards. Pretty solid day when you're splitting time in the backfield. And then, like you said, Jack Endry's 4 catches for 50 yards. He had one big one late in the game that kept it close, just in terms of moved the team down the field. I think it was near the sideline, and it was really the catch probably of his life. But Parker Livingstone, if he's not getting touchdowns for just how he dressed before the game, then what are we doing anymore? But like you said, Wingo and Moore, absolutely. I'm just disappointed because I know how well they can perform for this team. So I'm expecting big performances from them against San Jose State. I wouldn't be surprised if Sark, dials up 5 consecutive passes to Wingo just to get everybody involved, get that confidence and chemistry back where it should be. But then, JC, last point before I mention San Jose State very quickly. Please correct me if I'm wrong on the name here. But we
Grayson
need
Littleton.
Well, he deserves a star too. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But Jack Bomeister, is that how you say it? The punter.
Oh.
Ooh. Golly, when's the last time we've seen such beautiful punts? No offense to the roster last year, but it just wasn't consistent, but also I wouldn't even say it was necessarily inconsistent. It was kind of capped. You were getting consistently short punts. And I know there's a freshman punter out there, but in comes the transfer from Utah. And, man, 3 inside the 20-yard line, 4 punts total, 46.3 punting average. I know we weren't thinking I was going to come into this call with punt stats, but oh boy, can I surprise you. But a little shout out to special teams. And one point of caution, maybe I will be proven wrong here. I'm not trying to take shots. Ryan Niblett at punt return. I'm not sold, JC. I'm not sold. I think your
Okay.
punt returner needs to have at least one screw loose, if not two. And we had that last year if you're a Longhorns fan. This year, Niblet, he seems like a safe option. Don't get me wrong, but you want to see some more chances taken. I saw one fair catch where he had plenty of space. Now, yet again, it's easy to talk from behind a laptop or computer when this guy has 200 plus pound men coming to try to just destroy him. So a little different, but I do want to see some more risk taken there. But anything else on those points very quickly?
I mean, I was the one who shouted out the punting. That was a great day for me. That was my one piece of propaganda that won this week. Was of course Mr. Jack Bomeister. I mean, the guy's a star. He was he received a preseason nomination for the punter of the year. There was a lot of talks. There was a lot of excitement around the Texas football program when he came in. Shows up, and I mean, he keeps us in that game. I mean, though you want to talk about position changing, field changing, those punts did it. And it was a absolutely exciting time for him. I cannot wait to see Shipley get some kicks in at the field this weekend. I'm hoping that all he's kicking is, 8 or 9 PATs. But I mean, I'm ready. I'm excited. I think that's a fair criticism of Niblet. If I'm being honest, I really wasn't prioritizing our special teams returning as much as I should be. But that is something that,
Well, part
a
of
lot
it
of punts
too,
on
JC, was
Saturday.
the
So I'll have some
field.
eyes
The
on it.
field position seemed pretty good against Ohio State, regardless. I
Absolutely.
want a little more gambles maybe, but again, gambles can pay off or they can't. And just moving
I like
quickly,
that.
to go ahead.
No, I mean, I like that point. That's a great point.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you. Just quickly on the San Jose State track, and then we'll fast forward here. At quarterback, Walker Egat last week threw for 2 touchdowns, but also had 2 interceptions. He did have 308 passing yards with sophomore wide receiver Danny Scudero. Ready for this? 9 receptions, 189 yards, and 1 touchdown, being the favorite target for the Spartans here. But at running back, also, you got a senior, Floyd Chalk, 11 carries for 44 yards. So not too crazy of a running game. I mean, a little over 4 yards per carry. Actually, exactly at 4 yards per carry. So solid, but not anything too out of the ordinary. Defensively, senior linebacker Jordan Pollard. See, I've got my notes here. 15 tackles, leading the day for the Spartans in week 1, helping out senior linebacker Noah Michael Franklin. 8 tackles. But I will say they did come away from last week with a loss, 16-14, to Central Michigan. And we're really keeping it Texas focused because, like a good coach says, the best learning, the best way to move forward is to look at your own team, see what you need to fix up. Don't even focus on the other guy because, at the end of the day, you might get a little lost in the hype of the game. And JC, we're moving on now. X Factors. Who do you think is going to perform well in a bounce back situation for Longhorns?
Well, before we move fully into X Factors, I actually have my own stat stuff and numbers that I came in hot with.
All right, go for it.
We're gonna go ahead and negate some of your points here, right here.
No, not
Show
going to
you why
happen.
I'm not worried at all. Yeah, yeah. Jordan Pollard had 15 tackles, and here's gonna lead into my first X Factor of the game. Central Michigan upset San Jose. It was an upset. Went back into some information. They were a little bit shocked. That's because they ran 51 times for 236 yards, good for 4.6 yards a clip a carry. That is horrendous. So, of course, you're going to get 15 tackles when you're running the ball 51 times. With that being said, Axter and Wisner going to have a field day. My actually concern right now is our CB4 and Wisner going to have such an easy day that we're not getting Arch 30 touches because I want to see Arch throw 30 passes in this game. I want to see Arch get his receivers some touches, and I want to see some early confidence going. But I think Baxter and Wisner, I mean, if you're a gambling man, not saying I am, I would like both of them to go for a touchdown in this game, and I think it's going to happen. With Walker, he's going to push that ball downfield. You did say the numbers. I mean, 308 yards, 2 touchdowns, but only 56% completion. So he's not the most accurate of passers. So for my X factors in this game, my first kind of couple big ones, negating, Archman, sure, whatever, all the confidence, all the pressures on him. Texas defensive line, despite a pretty good performance last week, you still let a true quarterback making his first start, correct if I'm wrong in Julian saying,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He walked out with a clean jersey, man.
Oh, look
You
great.
got to
Yeah.
generate some sacks. You got to generate some sacks, and you got
Jersey
to get
looked
some
cleaner
turnovers.
after the game than it did before, I think.
Absolutely. And I think that they're going to crash the line. I think the defensive line is angry. I think Colin Simmons, especially after that 15-yard penalty that ultimately resulted in that first Ohio State touchdown, him and, Manny didn't exactly give us the most help on penalties in that drive. I think with that being said, that D line is going to be wrecking havoc. They're going to want to get Arch the ball as much as possible. But more importantly, they're here to headhunt. They're here to collect quarterbacks. So I think that I expect a very big game from not only the D line, but CB4 and Weisner as well.
I like those points. And like you said, accuracy might not have been Egot's friend last week, but
Sure.
neither was it Arch Manning's, JC. Of course, different level of
Higher QBR.
competition.
Higher QBR.
Different, different level of competition, but no, you never know. But like you said, week one, I mean, it was a fun game to watch, JC. San Jose State and Central Michigan. I had it on the background, but like you said, Central Michigan coming into I think it was a road game for Central Michigan, going and
It
just
was, yeah.
putting on a show. Not ideal. And if you're San Jose State, you're trying to flip the script here, but this is not a flip script game. X factor for me. I know you kind of brushed it off just because it's going to be the easy talking point. But it is Arch Manning. I mean, he's going to have to get that confidence back after a week where I'm sure he's heard about it from everybody. I'm sure anyone in his contact list has let him know, what are you doing? But I have confidence in him because we saw it last year in the 2 games he started. And I know it wasn't, on the road at Ohio State in the horseshoe. I understand. Please, hold the applause for later. Hold the booze for later. This is going to be a chance for him to get his breath back, settle in a little
Yeah.
bit, remember who he is as a quarterback too, and remember that the other team is the one that should be scared of him, not the other way around. It looked at times he was second guessing himself. I think just go with your gut, and that's what Sark is putting him in the position to do. You got to trust, your play caller, knowing that the first read is the one that, of course everyone's looking at, but the one that's designed for you in that particular spot. But some of those second reads too, JC, those are the ones that you were wanting to take advantage of against Ohio State. But again, he's learning the speed of a defense at the collegiate level. It's going to take some time. So I've got Arch. In order to win a championship this year, he's not needing to be a Heisman level player. I think I said that in one of the season preview videos that we did, or in last week's video. He needs to be solid. Don't get me wrong. He needs to be solid, but he just can't be the team's weak link. If he's the team's weak link, it's not going to happen this year. So he's going to have to, of course, up his level of play quite a bit. Got a lot of new faces on offense that you're really going to have to pamper, JC. You're going to have to show them, hey, this is Sark's offense. I'm giving you the ball in space. Go play with it. I know he said that in one of the pressers that following the game, it's my job to just give these guys the football and let them do the work. I'm overthinking it a little bit here. I think this is the game, of course, San Jose State, where he settles in a little bit more. Now, going along pretty quick, we got danger level. How are you feeling about the Longhorns' chances here?
I mean, we give up more than 20 points, man. I think I have to shave my head. I'm at whatever's less than a 0, if I'm being honest. That's no disrespect to San Jose State.
-1?
At the at
You're
the end of
breaking
the
the
day,
scale? Okay.
I'm breaking the scale. At the end of the day, that is still, I'll say it, that's probably still the number one defense in the nation. Like I said, you gave up a touchdown on 2 penalties by Colin Simmons. It could have been a third down, could have been a fourth down. Andy Muhammad got a questionable holding call. And then that second touchdown, decent deep ball, little underthrown, great catch made by an NFL receiver. That's that. It is what it is. The Texas defense had a great day against Ohio State, held them to 2.3 yards a carry, which nobody wants to talk about because obviously you don't talk about the losers, you only talk about the winners. But I mean, the defense is still number one in the nation. And I know they're frustrated. I know they're angry. And unfortunately for San Jose State, they're the ones who get to play them next. So I'm sitting pretty calm at like a -6 right now.
Wow. Okay, you really upped it
Yeah.
in the reverse order. We don't break
Oh
the
yeah.
scale here. We don't break the scale here. I'm gonna
Well,
go now. It's
new
gonna
to
be a
the show.
little
New to the show.
it's a little polarizing because, like you said, the prospect of an upset loss is pretty low. I would give that itself a 1 because I'm not gonna break the scale. You never know, but I'm gonna give the game itself a 3 in terms of the danger level, just because I want to see how this team bounces back. I mean,
Absolutely.
this is a game we talked about offense enough, but to go on JC's point, this is a game where you want to see that defensive line get to the quarterback. They did create pressure, however, the Buckeyes just offense was running at such a fast speed that they were really getting the ball out of Sayan's hands in under 2 seconds when playing Texas, and it doesn't really give you enough opportunities to get to the quarterback. But I want to see a little more pressure, at least in those first 2 seconds, JC. I want a disrupted pocket, but I
Absolutely.
also, yet again, at the end of the day, you want to see some dirtied up jerseys that have some artificial grass across it. You're not going to see many grass stains. That would be quite impressive. You might get some of that white sponsorship logo rubbed across the jersey. Sorry, one more shot. I'm sorry.
We know how that guy feels about the sponsorship. Yeah.
No, I'm only kidding. I just want natural grass. Once we get that back, I'll let it up. I'll trade the sponsorship for the appropriate playing surface on the best field in college football. But I'm going 3. Yet again, can they just up their confidence before preseason play? Now, JC, quick prediction time. What's your final score and why?
Quick prediction. I'm first gonna go with this. Arch Manning. Let's go. Let's go like 74% completion. I feel really good bounce back from Arch, and I'm feeling it for about nothing crazy. 295 yards. Maybe he hits 300. 4 touchdowns. No interceptions. Actually, 1 interception. Because he's going to be forcing the ball, and he's going to be looking at his guys, going to be looking at wing, he's going to be looking at more. With that being said, I'm okay with an interception if he's out there looking for people. I think it's just a great bounce back for Arch, and I think you're right. It's a great way to see how the defense responds, to see if we can play a full game, even when we're in control, to see if Texas really needs to lean into that identity of this all gas, no brakes mentality. This is your game to do it. These next 3 games are the time to do it before SEC play ramps up. And I said in the article, I have 45-7. I'm going to say 4. I went with, but I wouldn't be shocked if I see Texas, get up into the 50s.
So Jacob Campos has 45-7, expects
Yep.
potentially some 50s, chances of rain in Austin in terms of scoring. I'm also going big difference here and just in terms of the score differential. I got Texas winning 45-0 against the Spartans. Again, if you're San Jose State, it's not really an ideal time to play Texas. Now, it really never is if you're not in one of those power conferences. However, they're already angry enough. They've already been talked down so much. I mean, every time you turn on a TV, you get some sort of Longhorn commercial, mostly with Arch.
Always.
But I'm sure for Texas fans, that was a little frustrating during the game, just adding insult to injury. So those guys have heard about it. I'm quite sure of that. They're going to bounce back here. 45-0. Expect big games from Arch, but also, as JC said, some DeAndre Moore action sprinkled in, some Ryan Wingo. Parker Livingstone, I think I'm just impressed with how much he's already been involved. I mean, I hope I continue to see that grow. But I think for this game specifically, the focus is going to be getting the rock to those guys that were a little underutilized last week. Just getting the confidence back. You also want to see Baxter just also continuing to come back from the injury. Looked pretty solid last week, but Wisner, yet again, he's still the guy, JC. 80 yards last week. But let's eclipse 100 yards. Let's get him out healthy. And again, let's not hope for too much scoring rain, right? I'm kidding. We
Sure.
get some field goals,
Sure.
maybe. Maybe we get 50s chances of field goals. Late fourth quarter, let's just go on a kicking show. We love special teams here. But 45-0, a fun week in Austin if you're a Longhorns fan after a disappointing one. But we'll see. Ultimately, it's not up to us. It's up to the players on the field. What do you guys think about our breakdown and predictions? How far off is JC from getting the right score? Let us know down below. Don't forget
Crazy.
to like and
Crazy.
subscribe. And as always, have a great rest of your day.